Hey everyone, and welcome. Today we are going to pull back the curtain on the amazing world of pathology. If you've ever been sick and wondered, what is actually going on inside my body right now? Well, then you are in exactly the right place. We're about to explore the science of disease itself. I mean, it's a question we've all asked, right? You feel sick, you know something's off, and you just want to understand the mystery behind it. Well, that mystery, that's precisely what pathology is all about solving. It's really a journey of discovery into our own biology. Okay, so let's get right into it. You probably learned about how the body is supposed to work, things like anatomy and physiology. Well, think of pathology as the bridge that connects that normal, healthy state to the abnormal state we call disease. It is quite literally the science of what goes wrong. So let's get the official definition on the table. Pathology is the scientific study of disease. And disease, that's just any abnormal variation in the structure or the function of any part of the body. It sounds simple, but that idea is so powerful and our launching point for everything else. Now, when pathologists are faced with a disease, they don't just start guessing. No way. They have a framework, a kind of mental guidebook that's built around four fundamental questions. You can think of it as their systematic investigation for getting to the truth of any illness. And here it is. This four-step roadmap is absolutely crucial. Pathologists ask, first, the why, that's the cause, which we call etiology. Second, the how, the mechanism, or pathogenesis. Third, the what, as in what are the physical changes, that's morphology. And finally, the so what, the effects on the person, or the clinical significance. Let's break those down. First up, etiology. This is the why. It's the root cause, the initial trigger that kicks the whole disease process into gear. Figuring out the cause is pretty much the backbone of any diagnosis and treatment. Next, we've got pathogenesis, which is the how. Okay, so if the cause, the etiology, is the spark, then pathogenesis is the story of how that spark catches fire and spreads. It's the whole sequence of events, the mechanism, that turns that initial cause into a real, tangible illness. And that brings us to the morphologic changes. This is the what. These are the actual physical alterations in our cells and tissues that the disease leaves behind. It's the evidence of the crime. It's what a pathologist can actually see and analyze under a microscope. And finally, we get to clinical significance, or my favorite way to put it, the so what. This is what ties everything back to the patient. How do all those tiny physical changes actually affect the way the body works? This is what creates the symptoms and signs that make us feel sick in the first place. All right, so now that we have our four-question framework, let's see how it actually works. We're going to look a little closer at those first two steps, the cause and the mechanism, starting with the two main ways a disease can even get started. When it comes to the why, it really boils down to two big categories. On one side, you've got genetic factors, basically the stuff that's written into your blueprint, inherited from your parents. And on the other side, you've got acquired factors, which is pretty much everything else the world can throw at you, like infections, injuries, chemicals, you name it. And once one of those causes is in play, whether it's a faulty gene or a virus you just caught, that's when pathogenesis takes over. It's that critical, often really complex, chain reaction that connects that initial trigger to the physical damage that eventually shows up in the body. So how do pathologists actually see the damage from this whole process? Let's take a look at how they observe these morphologic changes and connect them to what a patient is actually feeling. This is so cool. Pathologists basically look at the evidence on two different scales. First, you have gross changes. These are the big structural alterations you can actually see with your own eyes. But a lot of the real detective work happens with microscopic changes, the stuff happening at a cellular level that you can only uncover with a powerful microscope. So that brings us to the really practical side of things. How do pathologists put this whole framework into action? Well, they have a whole toolkit of techniques they use to investigate and pin down exactly what disease they're dealing with. And here are just a few of the key tools in that kit. They might use histopathology, which is studying whole tissues. Or they can zoom in even further with cytopathology to look at individual cells. They run microbiological and biochemical tests to hunt for germs or chemical imbalances. And, of course, there's the autopsy, which is a really detailed examination after death to find the ultimate cause. And what's really amazing is that this isn't just some abstract theory. This is the global standard for understanding disease.
In fact, our source for this entire explainer is from the Ethiopia Public Health Training Initiative. This exact same four-step process is taught to their health science students and to medical students all over the world as the absolute foundation of modern medicine.
Okay, so let's zoom all the way out. Why is this so important? I mean, this is so much more than just an academic exercise. The science of pathology is fundamental, not just to medicine, but to our ability to understand our own bodies and our own health. I think this quote from our source material just says it all perfectly. Understanding the core aspects of disease will, in turn, enable healthcare workers to handle and help their patients in a better and scientific way. It really is that simple. A better understanding of disease leads directly to better care for people. And so, that kind of brings us full circle, and it leaves us with one final big question to think about. After this whole journey into the science of what's abnormal, what do we really end up learning about what it truly means to be healthy?